safety and starting position. The machine setup. Here we see the PT comes into the machine. Now, as the weight is decreased in this exercise, it actually makes it harder for the client to perform, or they get less assistance in the exercise. Whereas if the weight is increased, as you can see here, the exercise is easier because the client gets more assistance with the exercise. Grip positions, we have our wider grip position to activate more of the anterior deltoid and chest muscles in the exercise, or we have the narrow position, which will utilize more of the triceps brachii and take out some of that chest and shoulder muscle exercise. The starting position, here the client will kneel onto the knee pads with their shoulders set to the back and down position, arms fully extended, and hips vertically aligned over the knees. Technique cues in the assisted dip exercise. The client will lower themselves and the machine towards the floor. They'll do this by keeping the elbows as close to the body as possible. And they'll press back up, getting some assistance from the weight stack of the machine. And they'll do this until the elbows are fully extended. This will be repeated 4 repetitions. So notice that the weight in the weight stack on the way up here will be assisting the client. It's important that they lower until the upper arms are parallel to the floor. They should keep the core braced and keep the knees underneath the hips. Correct breathing techniques in this assisted dip exercise. Here we see the client will breathe in through the nose as they lower their body towards the floor, and they'll breathe out through the mouth as they press their body upwards. This process will be repeated 4 repetitions. Let's take a look at the assisted dip exercise in normal speed. Let's have a look at some common technique errors associated with the assisted dip exercise. And technique error number 1 is elbows flared out to the side. So here we can see that the client lowers their body on the left-hand side, but they do so by flaring their elbows out to the side. This is compared to the right-hand side, where we see the client is keeping the elbows nice and straight and pointed backwards and placing less pressure and stress on that shoulder joint. The client should be encouraged to lower the body with the elbows kept as close to the body as possible to protect that shoulder joint. Common technique error number 2. Here we see a loss of the neutral spine position through excessive leaning forward of the trunk. This is probably occurring due to the knees losing that vertical alignment underneath the hips and the hips pushing backwards. Most likely because the exercise is too difficult for the client. Ideally, we want to see the client have that straight line position from the knees all the way up to the shoulders in that vertical position. Spotting techniques in the assisted dip exercise. Here we see the PT comes in and helps out underneath the actual seat itself by assisting where necessary. Now an exercise analysis for the assisted dip. In the eccentric phase, this occurs when the target muscles are lengthening as the body is lowered towards the floor. In the concentric phase, here the target muscles are shortening as the body is lifted back upwards. Now a joint action target muscle analysis of the concentric phase only. And firstly, joints. We see movement at the shoulder joint. We see movement at the elbow joint. For joint actions at the shoulder joint, we see shoulder flexion. At the elbow joint, we see elbow extension. And for target muscles, at the shoulder joint for shoulder flexion, we see contraction of the anterior deltoid and the pectoralis major muscles. At the elbow joint, we see contraction of the triceps brachii with elbow extension. The assisted dip exercise.